Okay, today I'm gonna kind of do a little quick review of the IWI Carmel. I collect a lot of IDF and Israeli type weapons, so obviously the Carmel was something I wanted for a long time. Even though this is supposedly made in USA and it's not really used by the IDF. I purchased this basically when they first came out with my own money, and then I Cerakoted it myself because I think it looks a lot better as an FDE gun. Let's go ahead and dive into it. It comes with a muzzle brake. I don't really know how it works. I put a suppressor on it pretty much as soon as I got it. Adjustable gas, suppressed, regular. Really wish I had more settings because with an OSS can, I can kind of run it on the suppressed setting. It's pretty good, but I feel like on regular it might be slightly overgassed. Handguard, I would prefer the original kind of prototype one, but this one's functional. It's good. It's solid. No complaints. It looks a little bit better with some accessories on it. Moving back, obviously the charging handle. You've seen all 500 videos of how it switches. I like the dust cover. I think more guns should have dust covers, so I appreciate that. Folding stock, such. Probably one of my bigger complaints I don't see other people talking about is this stock. When I got it, it was there's a lot of wobble in it. Cerakoting it and stuff like that, it firmed right up. Same thing with the cheek piece. I mean, you can see it wobbles a little bit, but it was a lot worse when I first got it. Just didn't feel great. Stock obviously folds. Mine doesn't do it gently. Have to slam it. Some people have commented on the safety. It kind of mushy, has a little bit of wiggle. Well, it's true. I feel like that's less of a concern than the stock being wobbly. Pistol grip was changed out. I thought the B5 one was kind of ugly on there. Controls, pretty standard. I don't really care for how the bolt release is. You're basically gonna have to run it. You're gonna have to run it like an AR-15 pushing this paddle, unless you have really freakishly long fingers. Oh geez, I can't talk. Unless you have really long fingers, this is kind of hard to reach, but it's good for holding it open, stuff like that. I would prefer to see something like what you have on the ACR or the Robinson Arms XCR. I think it's a much better design. Right now you can see it's pretty much stripped down. It's because I'm probably gonna sell it. Just doesn't quite do it for me. I think it's a good rifle. It's been 100% reliable. Accuracy has been okay. I'd say it's about maybe a little bit better than X95, which is I would consider a 2 to 4 MOA gun. This is probably 2 to 3 MOA. Could be better. It is a piston gun, so it's hard to compare with like something like an AR. One thing I see no one talk about, this butt pad. It almost looks like there would be storage in here. There really isn't. And you can these are super tight, but you pop this down and you have a little bit of space in there, but you really can't put anything in there because it opens up in here. So it's kind of weird how they designed this. It looks like you should be able to put something in here, but you kind of got this extension coming off here that goes in here, so you really don't have any room. The weight of this thing, it's a pig, honestly. Like, let me grab my inexpensive scale here. Let's see if you can read that. It looks like you should be able to. IWI lists it as 8 pounds, 2 ounces. And it's about, let's see, whoops, wrong button. So about 8.15. So it's about right. 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Put that in perspective. I mean, that's with nothing on it. No optic, no stuff up on the handguard. If you take a look at like this Tavor, SAR with an optic on it. If I recall, it's slightly more. We're almost about an ounce heavier with an optic on it. So you see, even a heavy gun like this is, you know, for a 5.56 gun, considered heavy when you have stuff like M4s and AR-15s that are 6 pounds or less easily. You got something like this that's, you know, 8 pounds, 2 ounces. I guess it's more like 2 ounces heavier. My bad. We'll kind of take it apart a little bit, kind of show you some of the internals, some of the how the things are designed, and then I'll go from there. Okay, here's the gun stripped down, handguard off. I know the original kind of military prototypes had a quick detached barrel. This doesn't have that, but it does have these 2 screws. If you remove this one completely and just loosen this one, you can see it's split right here. It loosens up, pull the barrel right out. If IWI ever makes other barrels, be a pretty easy swap. Handguard removes 3 screws here, here, here. This bottom one here, this little plate can fall out, so you kind of have to be careful for taking it apart. Realize that will just kind of fall out on you. You can see the design that IWI seems to like a lot is like the aluminum chassis and the polymer frame. I think having it Cerakoted really highlights that. I like how easy it is. You can get in here, clean it. The Devore, pretty much have to clean everything from the back side. So it's nice that they kind of have this bottom come off. This takedown pin, sometimes it gets stuck just right before it fully releases. So I find it really stiff. You really have to kind of yank on it for it to finally pop off so you can pull the bolt carrier group out of the rear. Obviously when I Cerakoted this, I pulled it all the way apart, pulled the chassis out. Pretty straightforward. There's a few kind of things here and there. You know, you obviously take off your top rail, remove this. Is basically just a spring plungers on the back side of this, and this whole like assembly will pop out. Then let's move to, set this aside. Go over to the lower receiver, all plastic, pretty light. Trigger's pretty good. It's no Geisley, but it's acceptable. Design's similar, kind of like, looks kind of AR-ish, and then it kind of has this like side lobe sear surface, kind of like an AK. Like I said, it's a pretty good trigger. I won't complain. Gas piston. One thing that with a handguard on, the gas piston's a little bit more difficult to get out because you have this spring here. So what they recommend is basically bringing a cleaning rod through to push this out. You can see the gas piston kind of has a hollow center. Kind of reminds me of a M14 gas piston in some ways, other than it doesn't have like the holes on the side and stuff. Gas regulator, got 2 settings. If you're handy with the machine, you could probably add a 3rd setting in there, which I really wish kind of IWI had more settings on there so you can more finely tune it. Like I said, on the regular, it feels like the bolt carrier bottoms out a little bit on the hard side. It's not awful. It's not as bad as other guns, but it could be better. Bolt carrier group. This is kind of like all polymer here. There's probably got some steel in here. Sorry. So this is all polymer. You got some steel in here. Looks like steel pin stuff. Reminds me a lot of a Devore 7. The whole bolt carrier group. You got firing pin safety, so kind of like, I think the HK is kind of a good example that people might be familiar with, but firing pin won't go forward unless the hammer pushes that up. Then it will go all the way forward. Taking this down is pretty easy. Let's see, pop. A lot of the pins on this gun are really stiff, so you almost have to have a punch for all of them. Of course, this is fighting me now. There we go. Come on. There we go. Firing pin, cam pin, bolt. Kind of an interesting design how they have that half cut out, but dual ejectors. This pin's retained, which is nice. As far as pins being stiff, the worst offender is this guy right here. Even when I first got it, you had to use a hammer and a punch to get it to pop loose. I mean, it's not necessarily to pull this off for cleaning, but in order to gain access to the bottom in here, you kind of have to pull it out. Okay, I'll put it back together and some closing thoughts. Forgot to show one thing in cam profile. You have kind of a long, as the bolt carrier travels, you have kind of a long distance before it unlocks, which I think is a good design, especially on gas piston guns. They have give you a little bit more dwell time before you start unlocking. You see, like on AR-15 gas pistons, there's very little dwell time. I think guns like the Scar do that really well. I think that's kind of a good design. Okay, to wrap this video up, I think it's a good gun. If you're looking for a piston operated gun with a folding stock and some ambidextrous features, I think it's a great gun. The cons are the weight. It's heavy. Like I said, 8 pounds, 2 ounces. It's not lightweight. Most piston guns are a little heavy, but you find other guns that are a little bit lighter. I mean, even the Devore is basically a lighter gun, and you'll find other guns like the Scar and the Bren 2 and various AR-15 piston guns that are much lighter. There are a couple of things quality-wise. Like I said, the stock has some wobble to it, kind of disappointing. I was able to tighten it up. Cerakoting kind of helped with that. People talk about safety, not really concerned about that. Trigger, it's fine. Would be nice to see an AR trigger, just because they went with this handguard and with an AR trigger, so they're trying to make it more appealing to a mass market, so they kind of missed a mark by not allowing you to have an AR trigger as well. Handguard's fine. They do use Allen screws. As an engineer, I feel like Torx is a lot better, so it's kind of, I'd like to see Torx screws. It's 2024. Torx screws don't strip as easy. Anyone that's used as stripped an Allen screw can probably attest to that. Torx is a lot harder. Gas setting, I'd like to see more gas settings. Obviously, I'd like to see different colors offered, because I went through the effort to have mine Cerakoted. Accuracy, I didn't do too much accuracy testing. I said probably 2 to 3 MOA. That's kind of what I was getting. It's probably be a good candidate for an SBR. Cut the barrel down, shave some weight off. Probably look a little bit better. It is kind of a bulky gun. It's probably hard to show that on camera because of how IWI likes to do the metal chassis with the polymer shell over it. It's kind of a bulky gun. Let me grab an AR-15 here real quick. So here is my AR-15 SBR. So it might be hard to see. Carmel's a taller gun by probably about an inch or so. Obviously part of that's because you have a gas piston, but gas pistons here, but they end up putting the charging handle assembly up here, so the whole gun gets really tall. So you have a pretty good height over bore. Let's see if I can maybe move this over so you can probably get a better idea. You can see probably got an extra inch or so. Width wise, AR-15 is usually a pretty thin gun. And you look at the Carmel, it's pretty thick. It's kind of hard to do. I ain't got enough hands. Oh, that's kind of coming out. You can kind of see it's a bulkier gun. Obviously, this is a much shorter barrel, but you just imagined it with a longer barrel. Of course, you know, this is the BRN4 that I also Cerakoted, which maybe I'll do a review on that, but we'll see if anyone wants to hear me talk about that. I'll set this away. So, really long conclusion, but I think it's a good gun for the price, $1,700. It's pretty competitive. You look at stuff like the MCX or the Spear, you know, approaching $3,000, Scar. You have some newer offerings like PWS has the UXR. It's supposed to be, I want to say like $2,600. So for a gas piston, non-AR-15 gun, I think it's a good price. It'd be nice to see some more aftermarket. I know there's supposedly some people working on a different handguard. Be nice to see that. Be nice to see maybe, I don't know, some way to shave some weight off of this, but I think the design itself isn't going to really lend too much weight savings. Overall, I think it's a solid gun. It's been 100% reliable, but I'm more of a bullpup fanboy, so I'm going to stick with my Tavors, X95, stuff like that. But if you hate bullpups or you just want something that's different, I think it's a good gun. Has a couple downsides, but nothing's perfect. Thanks for watching.